In this video, I'm going to show you how we can put together our own Ethernet cables. Let's get into it. Because of our current situation, we're doing a lot more hybrid events as far as church events are concerned. So one of the main things I needed to do in the beginning was to bring in faster internet into the meeting hall. Well, the problem is the way the internet is set up and the cables are set up is the main internet is coming in through a second floor room. So what I had to do is run a long Ethernet cable. I ran it through the hallway, down the stairs, into a Wi-Fi access point so I can get it closer to the main meeting area. Well, now I wanted to do some cleanup of this. So now what we're going to do is run a long cable from the second floor, from the outside, into the main meeting hall area itself. My name is Patrick, and this is Everyday Tech for everyday people. And in this video, I'm going to take you through my journey of learning how to create my own Ethernet cables so you can customize it for your own projects. So you may be asking, why do I need to do this? I use Wi-Fi only. Well, even running Ethernet cables to a Wi-Fi access point can really improve your Wi-Fi coverage. Let's say you have a dead spot in your house or in a building, using these Ethernet cables can really help. And also, if you're doing any kind of production, always being able to plug in directly through Ethernet, it is always preferred. It's always more reliable and the speeds are so much better. Also, what if you're saying I can buy my own cables, pre-made cables? And yes, and I would definitely recommend that if you can find the right cables. But some of the advantages of doing this, creating your own cables, is you can really customize it to your own needs. Let's say you need some very short cables for a personal project you're doing, or you need to run long cables. You can really customize the right length of cable to kind of reduce the clutter there. Also, when you're building your own custom cables, network cables, you're able to customize it for your own needs. So in my case, I'm running it from the second floor room outside, running the cables through, and then back inside into the main hall. So I need some weather resistant cables that I can do, and I can do it here. Also, we're drilling holes from the inside to the outside. And so some of those holes are very tight. So when you buy off-the-shelf cables, they already come with the connectors attached to them. So I can't fit this cable with the connector on through those holes. So having my custom cables here, I can do that because I could put the connectors after I run the cables through. And like most things, if you buy it in bulk, it tends to be cheaper than buying a single item. So for example, for this latest project, I bought 500 feet of network cable. It's overkill, but I can use it for future projects, but I do have to put in the work. Speaking of putting in the work, I would say the last benefit of doing these custom network cables is a sense of accomplishment, a sense of building your own thing. So you could say, oh, well, I built all those network cables, I ran everything custom, and you're able to really clean up your setup to make it very streamlined to your own needs. So before we get into building a network cable here are some things to watch out for as far as your purchasing of cables is concerned. There are different categories of cables. There's category 5, Cat 5e, Cat 6, Cat 6a, 7, and 8. These different categories have to do with the throughput or speeds they offer. Now, I would stay away from regular Cat 5 and at least go with Cat 5e. I would recommend actually going Cat 6 if you can afford it. It's a little bit more expensive, but it'll at least give you speeds up to 10 gigabits. Now, Cat 5e only does a gigabit. And one thing to note is most networks and most switches and devices, even like your laptop, only do a gigabit speed anyway. But going up to Cat 6 at least future-proofs you for future purchases. So once those prices go down and more devices support 10 gigabit, at least your network is ready to go and you don't have to replace the cables. The next thing to watch out for is the gauge or thickness of the cable. Now, most off-the-shelf cables that you buy will be 24 gauge, 24 AWG, which stands for American Wire Gauge. The higher the number, the higher the AWG number, the thinner it is. And so even when you buy Cat 5e cables in bulk, most of the time it'll be 24 gauge. Now, most of the time when you buy bulk Cat 6 cables, it's going to be 23 gauge or 23 AWG, which is a little bit thicker, but it's good for outdoor use as well. Now, the thicker the cable, the less flexibility that you have as far as bending these and putting it around different corners. So, you need to look for the type of cable that you want to buy. Now, the type of cable or the thickness of the cable also affects the type of connectors you want to buy as well. If you have a 23 gauge connector or a cable, I mean, these connectors right here won't work because these will work with only 24 to 26 gauge connectors. So you need to buy the right connectors for the right thickness of the cable. But also there's two kinds of connectors as well. There's ones that support pass-through and ones that don't. This one doesn't, but the pass-through ones could make your life a lot easier. It does what it says it is, like it allows the wires to pass through. So that means you don't have to get it exactly at the first try. And then later on when you go to crimp, and if you have crimping tools that support pass-through, it'll also slice off the excess wire. But if you don't have something that supports pass-through, then you gotta get everything pretty straight before you insert the wires into the connectors. Now I said the word crimping. Crimping is the process of pushing these pins down here, these metal pins, into the wire so you can have that connectivity between the wire and whatever device you're plugging it into. And speaking of crimping tools, this is a crimping tool that does push those wires down. And it also pushes this back part into the sleeve of the cable. That way it'll have a secure connection. This one also has a wire cutter here as well, but I would use a separate wire cutter when you're taking off the sleeve itself, and I'll get into that in a moment. But yeah, these are non-pass-through ones, so this doesn't cut off the excess. But if I were to buy this again, because I did the research after I bought these tools, I would buy pass-through crimpers and pass-through connectors. It'll make your life easier. If you're doing a lot of these, it'll speed up your process as well. But right now, let me get into a demo of creating one of these network tools for you. Okay, so we're going to be putting together a network cable here, at least one side of it. And let me just show you the different things that I have here. I have my Cat 5e. This is a 24 gauge wire. Really, I just cut one end of a pre-made one just to show you how this works. So you see the pre-made one. It does have this little boot or sleeve here. We're not going to use the boot for this example. Just a comparison, this is the Cat 6 cable that I'm using for that project. You can see it's a little bit thicker. This is waterproof, 23 gauge, and this is like very stiff, a lot more stiffer than this one. This one, you don't want to necessarily bend your network cables because you could lose some speed there, but you want to make sure you want to have some more flexibility. This one doesn't actually have too much flexibility, but it's good for the long runs that I'm going to do. And also in the middle here on the Cat 6 cable, there's a little plastic tubing in there that separates the cables from each other. That kind of eliminates some crosstalk or some interference, but this one doesn't. And then it also might have these ones usually have a little string in there that you can use to cut through the sleeves a little bit more. But anyway, on that Cat 6 cable down there, you're going to have to cut through those different things, that little extra plastic piece in the middle. Okay, and then I have my crimper tool here. Remember, this is a non-pass-through crimper, but this one right here pushes the little pins into the cable, and then here this pushes the little plastic part into the sleeve itself. And then there's wire cutters here, which we'll need in this example as well. And then this is a wire stripper, or a sleeve stripper. And I could strip the sleeves of this wire with this little thing, but it's really easy. And there's a little hole there as well that you can use, but it's really easy. And you have to be careful when you're stripping the sleeve off this, not to strip or cut any of the wire itself, or else you're going to have to start over again. And once you crimp these little connectors, they can't be used again because the pins get pressed down. You can't recycle it again. These are cheap, but you want to make sure that you have enough of these if you're going to do some trial and error on these. So let's get started on making this cable here. Okay, the first step that we're going to do is strip the sleeves here to expose some of the wires here. So I'm going to use this sleeve stripper here. And I've learned that if I just do one pass through, that should be enough to separate the sleeve here. And it's As you can tell, there's a little bit, I didn't go quite far enough, but you can put it off. Okay, so now you're going to have 8 wires here, and some of them are striped, some of them are solid colors. And so you're going to want to go through a very specific order for these. It needs to be the same order as on this side, but there's a very specific order. And I'm using the T568B standard here. We're going orange, white, striped, solid orange, green, white, striped, solid blue, blue, white, striped, solid green, brown, white, striped, and solid brown. As you can tell, I'm not the most experienced network crimper or network person to make these wires, but anyway, I've done a few of these to kind of get comfortable with it right now. But anyway, the more I do these, I think the speedier I get, the more skilled or easier this will get for me, even just to straighten these out as well. And then, of course, we're going to see the size of this. We want to make sure. So we're going to cut it about, because the sleeve goes into about there. And it gets crimped right there. So we're going to cut it around here. And that should be fine. And then we're going to first cut these wires at around there. So, and you want to make sure these are as straight as possible. And again, if you mess up, you can always cut more sleeve off, and then you'll be good to go. So we'll cut the wire around there. We'll try it one more time. And you can kind of see it in the slots there. They should just go right into the slots. And it's not too bad. As long as the sleeve is in there, part of the sleeve is hitting that part, it'll crimp down, and you want to double check your order again. Okay. So then the last thing we'll do is we're going to put this into our crimper here. Now this part right here is the one that's pushing these pins down into the wires themselves. So we want to make sure we put this in there. Put it all the way through. And what I like to do is, you'll hear a crunch sound, and I can do it a few times just in case. And now we have our solid connection here. And then the last thing I'm going to show you is this cable tester here. And this cable tester came with my crimping kit that I got on Amazon. There was a bunch of stuff that came with the kit, including some of these connectors. Now I will link to this one and also a pass-through kit as well. Again, I'd recommend the pass-through kit to make your life easier. With the pass-through connector kit, what you can do is you don't have to make the wires so even, but you do need to cut a little bit more sleeve. And basically what you would do is you would slide the cables in, and they would go past, so you don't have to be so even there, right? As long as you're in the same order. And then you use your pass-through crimping kit. And when you crimp, at the same time, it'll slice off the extra excess cable there. So it does speed up your work time there, as far as not worrying about it to be very even, how much you should cut. So yeah, that's something I would recommend. So I'll link to both in the description below. But here we're going to use our cable tester here, one end into the main unit here, the other end to the end point here, and we're just going to turn this on. As long as they all turn green, we are good to go. And then you can put it on a slower speed here. So I did it right, and both ends are good. And if there's something out of line, it'll tell you, it'll blink red or orange, telling you that there is something wrong, something out of order, or something not connecting right. Hope you enjoyed this video. This is a little bit different video than I usually do. I just want to take you along the ride of things that come up and things I need to learn along the way. Now I will be doing a little bit of a cable cleanup around the house. I have cables running all over the house. Now that we're having more people coming over, I need to tidy up things in certain places in the house. If you like this video, give it a like and consider subscribing. Until the next one, see ya.